The deadline to get an Ohio Real ID is coming up quick. But do you really need one? And how do you go about getting one if you do? Joining us to walk through the process is Ohio BMV Registrar Charlie Norman. Thanks for joining us, Charlie.
Thanks for having me.
So what makes an Ohio Real ID different from a regular driver's license? Why is this such a big deal?
Well, this is actually something that came out of the 9/11 Commission recommendation, so it's been in the works for a long time. It's the Real ID Act of 2005, actually. And essentially, Congress said, hey, states, you can issue driver's licenses, but there are going to be standards for issuance if your residents want to use those credentials to do certain federally regulated tasks like commercial air flight or entering certain federal buildings. So that's sort of the genesis of Real ID, and what it requires is provision of some documents that prove essentially 5 legal elements: your full legal name, your date of birth, your social security number, your U.S. citizenship or legal presence, and your Ohio residence. A number of documents you can use to meet those requirements, things like birth certificates, passports, social security cards, utility bills. But it does require an in-person visit to the BMV to upgrade your credential to a Real ID.
We've talked a lot about how you'll need one, as you mentioned, to commercially fly. Are there other places you'll have to show your Real ID, though?
Certain federal buildings, and that's up to the federal government, to certain military bases, military installations. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, commercial air flight. That's the federal deadline for Real ID compliance is May 7th.
So how do we go about getting the Real ID versus a traditional license?
Well, first, look at your current license you have now. If you see a star in the top right corner, you're already good to go. You already have a Real ID, and there's nothing else you need to do. If you don't, we recommend starting at our website, bmv.ohio.gov. There's an interactive checklist there that will walk you through the document requirements, and you may find you need fewer documents than you think you do. And then what I recommend next is people, if you know you have to come in the office to get a Real ID, use our virtual queuing tool. It's called Get In Line Online. And again, that's on our website, bmv.ohio.gov. And what that allows you to do is you wake up in the morning, you know you got to come to the BMV, you can pick an office and put yourself in line virtually. So you're advancing through the queue in the office as if you were physically there. And it's a big time saver. We know since we've instituted Get In Line Online, Ohioans have saved over 700,000 hours of in-office wait time. So, I think that's sort of the two things I would say is plan ahead on those documents, and then in order to make your visit smooth and your wait time as small as possible, use Get In Line Online.
Yeah, I think the less we can wait, I speak for everybody, that is a big thing. You mentioned the documentation that we would need. 5 sets of documentation for this?
So there are 5 elements that you need to prove, and there are a number of documents you can use to prove that. But actually, some of the documents you have can satisfy multiple elements. So, for instance, if you already have a passport, that clears you on your full legal name, your U.S. citizenship, and your date of birth, and then you only have to bring documents for your social security number and your Ohio residence. So that's why that interactive checklist is really helpful, because you may find it's less documentation than you think.
What happens if you don't end up getting the Real ID in the mail, or it gets lost or destroyed before maybe it's time to renew? Do you have to go through the entire process again to get a new one?
Once you're Real ID compliant, once you've got that Real ID card, you never have to show the documentation again. So you're good to go for the rest of your life. When you do come in to get your driver license, you will walk away with an interim document, a paper document that does say you've completed the process and you're Real ID compliant.
Remind us again, when's the deadline to get it?
May 7th, 2025.
All right, sounds good. Charlie, thank you so much. Here's hoping everybody gets the Real ID that needs it and can do it in a timely manner. We appreciate all the advice.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.